Hi, friends. This is Carrie Morrison. Welcome to the trailer for Season 5, Heartforward Conversations from the Heart. It's been some months since we finished Season 4, and I've recently returned from a whirlwind trip to Trieste, Italy, where the entirety of this upcoming season was recorded. So instead of sitting in a soundproof studio in Glassell Park, imagine Carrie on the fly, trying to ensure that newly acquired microphones are properly set up and recording from my hotel in the city center of Trieste or in an office at the mental health department located on the original grounds of the asylum at Parco de San Giovanni. Needless to say, there were some technological challenges, and I will ask you in advance for some forbearance. But through this season's conversations with our friends in Italy, people who are connected to the mental health system in Trieste as service users, peer support workers, or professional staff, I believe that the guiding principles of their system will come alive as you hear it through their words and their stories. Some interviews were conducted through translators, and contrary to what you might hear on an NPR broadcast, we are not going to overlay the translator's voice over the interview subject. This is intentional. You'll be able to hear from them directly in their language, and I want our friends in Trieste and in other parts of Italy who are curious about this American interest in their system to be able to listen as well. Maybe you'll pick up some nuove parole italiane, new Italian words along the way. Now, the backstory of why I was in Trieste. My 7th trip now in 7 years. It emerged when I was invited to a meeting by Seiran Fu, program officer for the Hilton Foundation. It was about a year ago. He raised the prospect of Heartforward shepherding another study visit to Trieste. But if this were to happen, what would I do differently this time? What evolved from that unexpected opportunity to brainstorm and dream led to the Hilton Foundation awarding Heartforward LA a grant in April 2024 to curate and guide a group of 20 leaders from across the country. Our group would commit to stay together for a year. They would commit to an intense week of learning and visiting the Trieste mental health system, including bi-weekly sessions for months leading up to that week. And we would convene for another 6 months to plant seeds for innovation and initiatives moving forward in the U.S. We share the name that Franco Basaglia used, the Équipe, a French word for team, and that tradition carries on to the present day in Trieste. You will hear references to the Équipe mentioned all throughout this season. The members of the Équipe are people passionate about the need for change in the U.S. I hope to share their voices in the next season, but for now, this season is entirely made in Trieste. So who will you meet in Season 5? I have not decided yet the order in which they will be introduced to you, so let me just list the alphabetical order of their names right now. First, Claudia Battistone. Claudia is a psychiatric rehabilitation technician, which is a role unique to Italy, but seems to complement what we know as occupational therapy, with a particular emphasis on mental health support. In this interview, I will be joined by Dr. Joy Agner, a research professor in the Chan School of Occupational Therapy and Occupational Science at USC, and a participant in the October study visit. Dr. Tommaso Bonavigo, who will be interviewed alongside his colleague, Dr. Alessandra Oretti. Dr. Bonavigo works in a community mental health center, and Dr. Oretti is the director of the psychiatric unit in the Central Hospital, and is currently serving as the interim director of the mental health department in Trieste. Elena Czekvenik. Elena is a woman who studied German as a young student, dreamed of a career as a language teacher, and loves philosophy and writing. She is a service user in Trieste, and she just published a book this year called Sono schizofrenica e amo la mia follia. Translated, that is, I am schizophrenic and I love my madness. Dr. Mario Colucci. I like to refer to him as a psychiatrist and a philosopher who has worked in the community system for most of his career, and he has written extensively about the Basaglian vision. Dr. Giovanna Del Giudice. Giovanna has a fascinating story to tell, how she, as a young psychiatrist, sought out the intriguing Franco Basaglia very early in his career and said she wanted to work with him. Her persistence paid off, and she was one of the early members of the Équipe that surrounded him when he arrived in Trieste. At this stage in her career, She is committed to keeping the flame alive as she travels to other countries to provide training and insight. Stefania Grimaldi. One of the cornerstones of the community-based model in Trieste is the network of social cooperatives, which provides a place of skills training, purposeful engagement, and employment for service users in the Trieste system. We'll learn about the extensive reach of one such social cooperative, La Collina, and how this system works generally in Trieste. Michele Cepala. Michele, in a peer support role, is involved with a very innovative 6-month residential program for young service users in the city's mental health system. It is called Recovery House, and to me it seems like an idea worth bringing home. Beatrice Stanig. Beatrice is someone I first met in 2019 when I lived in Trieste for a month. She speaks about how the Women's Association, Leone Lealtra, has provided invaluable support and a place of purpose for her. She is now a peer support specialist, and she has also written a fiction book called Se Innocente. Translated, that is, They Are Innocent. Caterina Vincentini. Caterina is a service user who provides a glimpse into how valuable the services in Trieste have been to her recovery and her ability to continue her career as a teacher. She shares the frightening experience of her first crisis, which occurred while she was studying in Belgium, and her Houdini-like escape from 4-point restraints. It is a story worth hearing. As you listen to the conversations, I encourage you to pay attention to the words and themes that come up over and over. These are glimpses into the guiding principles of their system, principles that are so entrenched in their culture dating back 50 years that there is no book or training or curriculum that conveys it. It is rather a way of coming alongside people. Here are some of the prompts to listen for during Season 5. First, seeing the person first and the diagnosis as ancillary. Believing in a person's recovery and identifying the framework for a life plan or goals to move forward. The integration of their system, not fragmented or siloed as is the norm in the U.S. The horizontal relationship between staff and users, opportunities to engage as fellow human beings. References to power and how there is an intention to share power, but sometimes there are power gaps. And finally, how often accoglienza, or what I like to call radical hospitality, comes up. So, this is a sneak peek into what is in store for Season 5 in the new year. My hope is to begin to release these episodes by mid-January 2025. Until then, happy holidays e ci vediamo al nuovo anno.